Hi, it's Michael Ogechi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service in Bowie, Maryland. Today I'm going to go on somewhat of a deep dive on the filing statuses that you can file with when you're filing your tax returns. Essentially, there are five major filing statuses that you can file. First one is single. All right, when you're filing your tax return, if you are single and not married, then the logical choice will be to file as a single person. The next status is filing married, filing joint. Now, if you have a partner or a spouse, then you may want to elect to file married filing joint. And this is because you will get taxed at a lower tax rate than if you were filing single. So you're at a major tax advantage if you decide to file married filing joint. You can also file married filing separate. This is the category that I usually would recommend the least, only because there's a tendency that you will lose out on a lot of tax benefits. The other flip side of that again is that you're going to be taxed at the single tax rate, which is a lot higher than if you were filing married filing joint or head of household. And so married filing separate is an option. And a lot of times when I see people choose this option is when, for instance, one of the parties is owing the IRS or has a significant debt load on them, and they choose to separate their finances. If this is the case, then yes, it is advisable because once you file married filing jointly, you're considered to be jointly liable for any tax debt, for instance. And so in that kind of situation, I would say yes. Another scenario where married filing separate might be a good option is if you, for instance, have school loans and you're in a situation where you are enrolled in, for instance, a debt forgiveness program that requires you to have paid a certain amount or have been consistent for a certain amount of time in the payments of that school loan debt. There is a possibility that if you file married filing joint, you may jeopardize your eligibility for that program. Obviously, this is something that you have to do some research on and check on, but there is a possibility that if you're filing married filing joint, you may not necessarily be eligible for that debt forgiveness loan program. So that's something to consider as well. The next status again is head of household. Now, head of household is when you are, well, when you're the head of the household. No, but when you're responsible for a larger percentage of taking care of the household with a dependent. Okay. And this time, with this, under these circumstances, you can file as the head of household. Again, this is, you get a better tax, you're in a better tax bracket because you're not getting taxed as high as if you were filing, for instance, single. So this tends to be a pretty good way to file if you qualify under those circumstances. Now, there's another category that's called qualifying widower. This can be somewhat tricky in the sense that the circumstances really will depend on whether you qualify for this as well. For instance, if your spouse passed away within a certain time period or time frame, then you can still file. You can file as a qualified widower. It does put you in a more advantageous tax bracket where you're not going to be taxed as highly as if you were a single person. The caveat here sometimes is that if your spouse, for instance, passed away within a certain time frame, there is a possibility that you may still be able to file married filing joint, but that's something you obviously would need to discuss with your tax preparer, your tax professional, and they will then determine what's better for you, whether you should file as a qualifying widower or whether the circumstances will still allow you to file married filing joint. Okay, so once again, we're going over the different filing statuses. And again, remember that the filing status that you choose to file will determine what tax bracket you're in. And I use the married filing separately as a prime example where the filing status that you choose could really determine whether you're getting a refund or whether you're going to owe taxes. So let's do a quick run over these again. Single, you can file single. You can file married, filing jointly. You can file married, filing separately. You can also file as head of household. You can also file as a qualifying widower with a dependent child. Okay, so yeah, that's it in terms of filing statuses. Again, very important that you discuss your individual and unique situations with your tax professional, and they should be able to give you the best advice on which status to file that would be more advantageous to you from a tax standpoint. Once again, this is Michael Legacy with Enterprise Express Tax Service talking about the different filing statuses. Take care. Bye.